Well, I would have been 30-something, and about half a lifetime ago, actually. And I just did little bits and pieces, probably as a result of the Sullivans, which sort of was a pretty high rating show, and as a result, I got a bit of voiceover work out of that. I actually rang up an old friend of mine last night because we did one of our first voiceovers together and none of us could remember exactly when it was. I used to do a lot of work with Flint Webster. And Phil Webster, when you finished a session with Phil, you had had a workout. And he taught me so much. He'd say, come on, get more on the mic, Michael, more on the mic, do this, do that, do the other. No. Come on, let's vary that a bit, all that sort of stuff. And Phil was a great mentor to me. He taught me a hell of a lot. Well, usually I try and have a good time. I try to enjoy myself and make sure everyone else enjoys themselves as well, without sort of getting in the way of the session, because that's not a good idea either. But yeah, I enjoy voice work, except when you hit the wall on some things and you go, oh, I'm having a lot of trouble with this. But thankfully, that's few and far between. The funniest thing that happened actually was when I was in the States, and there was a guy called Nat Kipner who, when I was a young man, told me I didn't have any future in the industry, and I had to go and do some work on a cartoon concept he was putting together, and I ended up doing half of the voices on it, and then reminded him of what he'd said to me when I was about 18 years of age. Oh, look, I think that's for someone else to say. I wouldn't know what to say, what my strengths are. It's a pretty well-known voice these days. Well, again, I was talking about Phil Webster, and I think a lot of that stuff that we did, really Phil got as much out of me as there was there to get. And another Melbourne mob too, SMR. I used to really enjoy working with them. They really put... Of course I do. I've got a lazy tongue, which sometimes makes things quite hard for me, and you've got to go to the diaphragm, which is the only way to get the articulation you need. I can't remember a time when I wasn't with Cathy Evans. We sort of put it together that we've been together about 23 years, and I've followed her through very different companies, not different agents, because I think I met up with Cathy when I went to my agent, Mark Morrissey. Although I'd known Cathy socially long before that. Well, I think a lot of agents just wait for the phone to ring. And what I find is that Kath is very hands-on, very... well, look, take this for example. Look at what we're doing today. She'll try many different things to get her voice artists in a good position where they're going to get more work. Well, I find a cigarette and a good cough is pretty good, a pretty good warm-up. Yeah, well, I thought about this, and I would say reasonable. A reasonable voice, and a voice that is sort of reasonable in both uses of the word.